Hmm.
So try to create a new folder for today's date and try to rename it day 6. And today we are going to see the rest of looping statements like while, and then we are going to see how the user defined functions will be executed in Python. Okay, so let's make a content here 22 and 5 2021 while and functions. Try to create a folder inside this. Yeah, again try to start new Python 3 ideally, new Python 3 Jupyter. So there you need to rename your file name. So yeah, I'm going to rename it with while and functions. Yes. Yeah, in the yesterday we have seen some kind of looping statements with the help of whenever you need to iterate the loop of sequence, we see the for loops, right? So we are seeing the for loops. So what is the syntax that can followed by for loop in Python? Let me know in the chat boxes. Don't unmute your mics. Try to post your responses in chat box only. Okay. I'm asking you the question is what is the syntax that can followed by for? See, I'm not asking the format. I'm not asking the syntax for along with the range. I'm just asking the syntax for only. I'm not asking the for syntax along with the range method. Sai Shruti is right. Okay. Among all the responses, we have only one correct response, that is from Sai Shruti. Rest of all them are might get confused, I think so. So let's see. I'm going to tell you the syntax for is basically the syntax for is for syntax. I'm making as a markdown. So for you need to use whenever you need to use a for loop means you have to use this keyword to define that for. So this for is a keyword and for and then variable, whatever the variable you need to iterate the loop, that is the variable you need to mention here after the for, and then you need to use operator like in. So in, and then here you need to mention iterator. Iterators are iters. So this is the condition. So this is the normal syntax for when it is when it is a normal sequence of data, when it is iterate data, we can use for syntax like this. And whenever you need to use for syntax for getting the range or for getting the numbers, for iterating the integer values, you can use for and then variable, again in operator, and then range. The range will take you that start value and stop value and then step value. Okay, the range will takes you, this is the syntax. So the first one is when you pass the syntax like for in the variable and in iterators, the name itself it is iterators. Whenever you need to use for loop, you have to check that is that iterators or not. Okay, is that iterators or not. So try to keep in your mind when you use for loop means when we have iterators only, that is the possibility to iterate that there only we have a possibility to iterate entire that iterators. So iterators is simply like strings. So we have iterators like strings, list, tuples, and dictionaries and sets. So up to now we are not discussing these inbuilt data structures, but you might already aware about this. How can you define a string? So you might already know how to define a string. So these are can be comes under the iterators. So we can iterate these strings. So that means whenever we have a group of data, we need to get it one by one data. That means we need to, when we want to access line by line or character by character, in such cases we need to iterate, and we will going to get one by one data. So in that cases only we are prefer for loops. So with the for loops we can access every one by one character from the iterators. Those iterators may be strings, list, tuple, dictionary, and sets. In this case we have only elements accessing. So when we have a iterators, then we can access the elements like this with the help of for. But sometimes we need to iterate the loop by getting the integers also. With respect to that integers also, we need to repeat the loop. In that cases we can use this for variable in range. So with the help of range, the range will helpful to take the iterating values as a integers. Defaultly the for loop cannot access the integers, because integers cannot be repeatable. We cannot iterate the integers, because that's the inbuilt syntax. We cannot iterate the integer that particular number. We can iterate the data with if they have strings and these all formats. So sometimes we need to iterate the data with the help of numbers also, or integers also, up to the integers levels also. In that cases we can use this range method. So in the yesterday we already seen by taking the APS SDC string, we can access the elements by using for loop. So in that case, we can access every line in APSDC. Like at the first time, it will give you A, next time it will give you P, and up to the length of the string, it's going to be iterate and give the every character from that given iterator. Okay. So sometimes we need to get the integer iterator also. In that cases only, we can use this range method along with the for loop. The range will gives you the integer data either from starting to stop value along with the step value. So inside we are already seen how the range method will work in the yesterday. And when you use range method, it will generate the iterators and it will increment the loop with the help of for. How it going to be increment means with the help of step value by passing the range method along with the for. Okay, we're already seen this one. I'm assuming that some people got confused with these syntaxes. That's why I'm explaining this concept again. The for loop and for syntaxes. When it is strings and iterators, this is the syntax you need to follow. And when you want to repeat the loop with respective numbers, you can use range method along with the for. Now you clear? All of you respond me in the chat box. Because when I asked the question also, so many members telling this syntax only for I in range method. But every time this is not the correct syntax. When you have a strings, you need to repeat it. Then you can use like this for I in something iterators. When you want to repeat the loop with respect to numbers, you can use range. Okay. So you are already aware about that. What is the default stack value when you use range method? Yes, range is absolutely used for to iterate the loop with respect to numbers. Integers only. Yes. What is the default value for start? Yeah, the default start value is 0. And what is the stop value? So is that start value and stop value is included both? Yes, the stop value is excluded. We cannot include when you run that start value. It is excluded. It's not going to be considered when running the program. And what is the default step value in range method? 1. Good. So now let's run this. Now, in the yesterday we are already seen how to generate a range of numbers. How to generate a range of numbers? Nothing but if you want to generate the numbers from some 50 range to 100 range, how can you generate it? Let me know your responses in the chat box. I need to generate a range of numbers from 50 to 100, and that 100 also included. I need to get that result along with the 100 also. How can I pass it? Post your responses in the chat box, all of you. The range, I need to get the range of data from 50 to 100, and that 100 also include. 50 comma 100 minus 1. I'm asking you the range should be, I need to get the numbers from 50 to 100 only. Some people send me from 1 to 100. Try to listen carefully. Yeah, good. Thanks for your responses. Yeah. So here for, I'm just taking one kind of variable here. Let me know what are the variables you need to pass. Post your variable names here. It's your wish. Suggest me a kind of variables. Yeah, okay, thanks for your responses. I'm going to take one random variable, that is x underscore y. Can you define the variable like this with syntax x underscore y? Is that correct way to define a variable? Yes, we can define the variable with some kind of underscores in between that also. After the variable, what we need to mention? What is the syntax? For is a keyword to define a for, and then the variable, and then we need to use in operator. So in operator, and then you need to specify a kind of iterators or range. Here I need to generate a range of numbers from 50 to 100. So I can use range here so that it will generate the range of numbers from whatever the start value to stop value along with the increment default one. So here I need to take 50 and then so I need to get the numbers from 50 to 100. So I can use 50 to 100. If I pass the range of numbers from 50 to 100, it will generate 50 to 100 or 50 to only 99. It will generate only 50 to 99. Why it is not considered 100? See here, I'm going to print this x underscore y. When I print it, it will print from 50 to only 99. Why it is not printed 100 means this stop value is excluded. It is not going to be considered while running this code. You might already aware about this. Now I need to get this entire numbers like single line in this single line only. I need to get I don't want to get every number in line by line. I need to generate every x underscore y data from range of 50 to 100 in single line only. How can you generate that? I need to get the data in single line only. I don't need to get a line by line. So how can you change it? By using end parameter, you can change the printing format. What I need to pass in this end parameter? Other than /n, you can pass anything so that it will be displayed in a single line. I need to generate my, I need to display my output with some tab space instead of /n. So I can use a /t here. I can use a /t here so that the numbers which can be from 50 to 100. So I need to include this 100 also. I can use +1. So it will generate with some tab space like this. It will generate numbers from 50 to 100 with some tab space because in the end parameter I'm passing /t. /t means it will defaultly take a tab space while printing it. Okay, like this you can generate the range of numbers with the use of for. Did everyone complete it up to this? Okay. Now I'm going to give you a simple task. Generate a range of numbers from 100 to 1, 100 to 1. Generate a range of numbers from 100 to 1. Do it and let me know, all of you. That means I need to generate my numbers from 100 to 1. So do it and let me know the responses in the chat box. So when you want to generate a numbers from 100 to 1, what is the start value here? Yes, what is the start value? So I don't need to include that 1. So I can use 1 only. If I want to include that 1 also, I can use 0 as my stop value. Yeah, good. So, so many numbers already completed. So in that case, so if you want to generate a numbers from 100 to 1, what is the step value? What is the step value? First time, for the first iteration, I want to get 100 as my output. And for the second iteration, I need to get my result as 99. And the third, 98. And the fourth, 97. Like this, I want to get up to 1. So for this, the step value is negative. You need to decrement your iteration value, step value. You need to decrement your step value with -1. So for I in, here I'm just taking the variable I in range of 100 as my start and 1 as my end. So I need to include that 1 also, so I can pass the stop value as 0, and the default decrement value is 1. So I need to decrement my loop from 100 to 0, so I can use -1 as my step value. So it is a condition. Don't forget to keep the colon at the ending. So I'm mentioning print. Now I want to separate this with some in a single line with some space. So I can use end parameter as space, so that you will get that entire numbers from 100 to 1. Okay. So like this, you can generate your range of numbers. Okay. Now let's see one more problem related to for loop, and then we will go ahead with while loops. Okay. So the condition is generate a numbers from 2 to 50. Okay, generate a numbers from 2 to 50, and while in the output skip the result, skip the numbers like 5 and 10, 5 and 10 and 15. That means I need to generate a numbers from 2 to 50, but in between that numbers in my result I don't want these 5 and 10 and 15, and I need to stop my loop, and I need to stop my loop stop the loop when the number is 20. Okay, so yes, so you need to generate a range of numbers from 2 to 50, and you need to skip the numbers when you got the number as 5 and 10 and 15, and then you need to stop the loop when you have the number as 20, when you have the number as 20. Okay, so let's see how it's going to be work. And before that, so is the question clear to all? At every time you need to understand the problem statement, so try to read the question 2 or more times. With that only you will understand what you need to implement in the program. Okay, so try to do that. So for generating numbers from 2 to 5, generating numbers from 2 to 5, you need to use loop, right? So for I in range of 2 to 50. So here I'm just taking 50 plus 1 because I need to include that 50 also. And So I'm going to print I for my reference. Now let's check is that numbers is came from 2 to 50 or not. So it is getting. Now I need to I don't want this 5 and 10 and 50 inside my result. Okay, I don't want this 5 and 10 and 15. So how can you do that? You don't want that 5 and 10 and 15, but you want to get the rest of data, rest of numbers. Yes, you can use continuous statement along with the if. So try to do that. If I equals to 5, or, so what is the logic we need to implement here? Either and or. So if you got either 5 or 10 or 15, we need to skip that numbers. So which logical operator we need to prefer here? Yes, or operator. Or I equals to, again, if it is 10, or I equals to 15. When you got these numbers, we need to skip these numbers. So for skipping, skipping the current iteration and go ahead with the next iteration, we have a some statement here, flow control statements. What is that? What is the statement we need to pass here? Continue. Yes, continue. And then, so next we have some other condition. What is the condition? Stop the loop when the number is 20. So that is a some other condition. So I am going to use elif condition. Elif I equals to 20. So when I have the number as 20, I need to stop my iteration. For stopping the iteration, what is the statement we have? What is the keyword we have? Yes, break. So finally, I need to print entire the data. So I can use else and print I. And for better understanding, I'm just making a print statement inside the elif also. Number is 20. Execution terminated. And I need to get all the numbers in a single line only, so I can use end equals to space with some space. Now you can see here, now you can see it will generate the numbers from 20 to 50, but when I have a number like 5 or 10 or 15, I need to continue the rest of data, but I don't want that number, so it's going to be skipped here. So after the 4, you might get 5, but we are using continuous statement inside the if. That means it's going to stop the current iteration and continue with the next iteration. So it will generate the next element as a 6, and again up to it will generate 9. And again, if the I value is related to 10, it again stop the current iteration as 10, and it will continue with the next data. So like this, it will execute. So, and up to 14. And whenever I value is become 15, it will stop the iteration and continues with the next. So we are not getting that 15 after the 14. And the next iteration up to it will execute 19. And whenever you have a I value as 20, it's going to be terminate the loop because we are using the break statement. Okay. So because you are using break statement, finally we need to print that I data. So I am just using I data inside the else block. Like this, it's going to be executed. Are you clear, all of you, regarding this problem? Like this, you can implement a kind of problems with loops. What about rest of them?
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, in before class you told that elif statement will be neglected, no ma'am, while doing for many elif statements.
Yes, but if you have one condition true, it's going to be executed. Again, if you have more than true conditions, you can use with the elif condition.
Ma'am, can you use one more elif, ma'am? If it is executing or not, can I check? Can we check, ma'am? Actually, I didn't.
So
It did
if
not execute to me, ma'am. So what, ma'am?
so when you use more than one elif condition,
Yes, ma'am.
So it will be executed while you see the problem in yesterday task like student grades, right? There it is
Yes, ma'am.
executed.
No, ma'am. At last elif it did not execute, ma'am. Last I used three elif statements, ma'am. Only two it got
Okay.
executed, ma'am. Third one it did not get executed, ma'am. Directly it
If the
moved to.
condition true also, it's not going to be executed.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see. So here I have a I equals to 20. I need to break it. Let's make it here also. Continue. Again, I'm going to mention one more relief condition. If I equals to 40. I need to break my loop. So I can just break here. Let's see is that executed or not. See, it's going to be executed, right? So the last elif condition also executed. Up to when I have a I value as 40, it's going to be terminate.
Ma'am, when we take a dynamical input, ma'am.
When you take
You gave.
dynamical input.
Yes, ma'am. You gave yesterday's assignment, ma'am. In that.
Yes. Okay, we will come to that one at the ending. Lokesh, is that fine? Because we have
Okay,
some
ma'am.
other concept to
Okay.
discuss. Okay,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
will come to you at the ending of the class. Okay, let's
Okay,
see.
ma'am.
So, is this problem statement is understand to all? Yes. Why we are not using stop value here at the ending? Because it's going to be we are using, but what we are doing means whenever I have a I value as 40, that means whenever I have a loop increment up to 40, I need to break my loop. So when I break it, it's not going to be executed if the loop is true also. So that's why it's not up to the end data, up to the end attribute, end point. That means we are not getting 50 result because we are breaking our loop when I have a loop incremented with 40. That's why we are not using that 50. But sometimes you need to observe here. What you need to observe means the problem statement, how the problems will be asked, and if the problem statement is like this, you need to implement with these conditions like continue and break. So how can you use the continue and break in a single problem statement? That's what you need to understand. Okay. Now let's go ahead with while loops. So somebody asked me, instead of skipping the 5, 10, 15, 20, how to remove all the multiplies of 5 using continue. You can write that multiplication of 5 condition in the if block. So you can mention if I equals to, okay, we will see that later because I need to explain some more concepts. Whatever questions you have, just hold it. I will come to all the questions after the ending of the class. Equals to 10. Equals to 50. Now let's see how the while loops in Python. So make a heading as while. So it is a for this while loop also we can use to iterate the loops. Okay. While loop we can execute a set of statements as long as a condition is true. Means this while loop is executed until unless the condition is true. Okay, up to condition is true, it's going to be executed continuously. Let's make it here. While loop can execute a set of statements, as long as a condition is true, as long as a condition is true. And for this syntax is, the syntax of while is while and then condition. Okay, the syntax for while is, so while of condition. In this parenthesis, you can mention the condition whatever you want. This is the way you're going to use the while syntax. Okay, try to convert this cell into markdown. Now we can use this while loop to do a basic problem like take a number and we are going to get the numbers which is from 1 to 10. Okay, so that make a heading as generate numbers from 1 to 10. So for that we need to mention the condition like while. So while of what you need to pass the condition here for getting the numbers from 1 to 10. What is the condition do you need to pass here for the while? Think yourself. And if you want to get that numbers from 1 to 10, how can you pass the condition? Yes, you need to pass the condition by taking a one kind of variable. Like we don't need, so when I pass 1 less than 10, it means it's going to be executed up to 10s. But we are not going to print that 1, 2, 3, 10 up to 10. We are not getting that print as a data. So for that, take a data and store it into a variable. So I'm going to initialize this one with the help of y variable. Okay, you can take some other variables. Let's take x. I'm just taking one variable x. Inside that, I'm just initializing the data with one integer. Okay. After that, I'm passing the condition like x less than or equal to 10. X less than or equal to 10. Is that condition is true or not? 1 is less than or equal to 10 or not? And don't forget to place a colon at the condition ending. Yes, it is a true condition. So that's why, so after the condition, you need to keep the colon at the ending. After the condition, place a colon at the ending. And after that, when you place the colon only, it will take that tab space for statements inside the block. It will automatically take a tab space for entering a block of statements. Okay. Now you can print your data. So you need to print x. Print x. So after that, so when you pass this print x, so what is the reason? When you pass print x, so when I run this code, so what you get, you might get. So 1 less than or equal to 10. So the condition is true. And when you print x, it will print a 1 up to a infinity times because 1 is always lesser than 2. That means it is a always true condition. So when you have a always true condition, it will enter into a infinite loop. That means the interpreter continuously executing this block of code. See, it will generate a kind of block for this output. And also you might observe a star mark in the square brackets. Can you observe that? Love you respond. Can you observe a star mark when you pass the condition like this? What it means, the while loop is when you pass the condition like 1 less than or equal to 2 means it is always a true condition. So 1 is always lesser than 10. That means it is always a true condition. So when while having a true condition, it will continuously check with the condition. If it is true, it's going to be executed. But what you need to do, you need to terminate this always true condition. That means, so for the next step, you need to increment the x value so that after the 1, you might get 2. So how can you increment that x value? So before that, try to restart your kernel because at the right side, we might get a star mark. So it's going to be blocked. So the kernel is blocked. So try to restart the kernel. So for that, you just click on restart. On the top, you might have an option like kernel. So click on kernel and then click on restart. so that it will ask you to restart the kernel. So click on restart. I think everyone can understand why it is going to infinite loop and what is the thing here happened. So when you have x equals to 1 and when you pass this x less than or equal to 10 means 1 is always lesser than 10. So it is always true condition. So that's why it will enters into your infinite block. It will execute infinite times because we are passing a true condition to the while block. So now, so for the first time we want to get 1. For the second iteration we want to get 2 as a result. For that we need to increment the x so that only it will not enters to the infinite block and it will compare up to 10. By incrementing only it will compare up to the condition of 10. Okay. So that we need to increment the x value. How can you increment it? So in the C language, you can use I++ for the incrementing a value, right? So here also you can use increment operators like x plus equals to 1, or else you can use x equals to x plus 1. Both are same. We are seeing these operators in assignment operators. These two statements is similar. You can pass x plus equals to 1, or else you can use x equals to x plus 1. Both are same. So I am just using this x plus equals to 1. So what it happened for the first iteration, the I value become 1. Okay, for the so how it going to be execute means initially it will the interpreter will go to this block while of x less than 10. So it might check with the value of x. So we already defined the x value as 1. So it's going to be compare 1 less than or equal to 10. So it is a true condition. So it will enter to the statement inside the block. So in the statement we are passing print of x. That means it will print the value of x. So at the first iteration the value of x should be what? Let me know what is the what is the x value for the first iteration. Instead of first iteration, while the condition is true, it will print the x. So at the initial time, the x value is 1. And when you so after that, it will increment the x value with 1. So when you increment that 1 with along 1, it will, the value is 2. So again, it will goes to the condition. So the next, the x value is 2. It will compare like 2 less than or equal to 10. So it is a true condition. Again, it will print the value of x. So there, the value of x is 2. And then it will increment by 1. The x value should be through 3 when it increments. Again it will go to this 3 less than or equal to 10. So it is a true condition. So it will print the x value, that is 3, and again it will increment by 1. So here the increment, the value is 4, and again it will move to the 4 less than or equal to 10. It is true condition. Up to it will increment the values up to 10, and whenever you have a value of x is 10, it will compare like 10 lesser than or equal to 10. So 10 less than or equal to 10 is a true condition. So it will enter the block and it will print the x value as 10. And again it will increment the value of 10 with 1. That is becomes 11. When it is 11, it will again compare to the while condition 11 less than or equal to 10. So is the 11 less than or equal to 10? So it is not, right? So then the condition is false. So the condition is false. Whenever the condition is false, it will automatically stop the iteration. Like that, the while loop is going to be executed. Let's see the output. Now you can see it will execute the loop from 1 to 10 only. Whenever we have x value as 11, the condition is not satisfied. So it will automatically terminate the loop. And if you want to get these results in a single line, you can use end parameter in the print statement. So I'm just copying this code and here I'm making as end equals to space. So this is the way you can use while loop. Now let's see how to generate a. I'm going to give a simple task. Try to do it. Generate a prime numbers. Generate a prime numbers. Generate a prime numbers from 1 to 10. 1 to 10 by using while loop. Do you aware about the logic of prime number? Do you know how the number should be called as in a prime? Respond in the chat box. Do you know how the number should be called as in a prime number? What about rest of them? If you know, then that's okay. Otherwise, I will explain for you. Yeah, okay. So try to do that and let me know the responses personally to me only. Post your responses to me only, not for everyone. Meanwhile, I will check with the doubts. See, somebody asked me a doubt. It is a very good doubt. Who is this? Harsha from VRSCC. Let's see. So Harsha, you can observe here. Why you are getting output as 11 also means you are doing increment before the print statement. Before the print statement, you are doing increment. So it will execute. How it is execute means for the first time the x value is 1. So it will check with the condition 1 lesser than 10. So it is a true condition, it will enters to the loop. So automatically that x value 1 should be incremented by 2. Because we are assigning increment value as 1, so it's going to be 2. So that's why you will get the for the first print statement, the x value should be 2 only for you. See here you can see the for the first iteration the x value is 2 because you are incrementing this x plus equals to 1 before printing. That is why you will get this 11 also output. You are using this increment before print statement. That's why you will get this starting. It will not get 1 and it will return 11 also. So try to pass this increment after print. Then only you will get 10 only. From 1 to 10 only. Okay, how many of you complete this prime numbers logic by using while? Okay, I'm going to explain you this one also. So for generating prime numbers from 1 to 10 by using while loop, you need to know before that the logic for prime numbers. So the prime numbers means the number should divisible by 1 and itself. The number should be divisible by 1 and itself only. Then only that number should be called as in a prime number. That means totally how many factors that the number having. If the number is divisible by 1 and itself, then that can be called as in a prime number. If it is divisible by 1 and itself means how many factors does the number have? Yes, totally they have only 2 factors. Totally 2 factors are there for that number. With respect to that factors only, I'm going to develop a logic. So for better understanding, I'm going to develop a logic with the help of factors. By finding the factors, I'm going to tell you. Okay. So for that, I'm just defining a one number like I equals to 1, and while I less than or equal to 10, because I need to generate a prime numbers in from 1 to 10. So I'm going to repeat the loop from 1 to 10. So for that, I'm passing the condition like I less than or equal to 10. After that, here inside this loop, you need to specify your prime number logic. So for that, I'm just telling you that if I percentile 2. So before that, I need to take a one variable so that I'm going to store the factors of that number in that variable. So I'm going to take one variable that is factors equals to 0. Initially, I'm taking a variable to store the factors for the given number. So that variable here I'm taking is factors, and I'm going to initialize that variable with 0. And here I'm going to find out the factors. How can you find out the factors? So if the number is divisible by 2 and gives the remainder as 0, that will be, so if it is divisible by 2 and it will give the remainder as 0 means that is the best factor. That is the factor to that given number. So I'm going to find out like that only. I divisible by 2 equal to 0. Then that I should be, this number should be called as a factor for that given number. Okay. So then I'm going to increment my factors here. Factors plus equals to 1. And finally, if the factors count is equals to 2, I'm going to print that I. So because the factors are stored in the variable of I. And finally, I'm going to increment the I also, because every time we need to increment the I value. So I equals to I plus 1. So let's see. What are the prime numbers we have from 1 to 10? 1 is not a prime number, 2 is also 3, 5, 7. But we are not getting the exact result. 2, 3, 5, 7. Right. 5 percentile equals to 0. Yes, we will get that logic by for loop easily, but when it comes to while loop, I'm not getting it. Let's figure it out here. Let's figure it out the problem. So initially I'm taking I value as 1. So I value is percentile is equals to 0. Then I'm going to increment the count of factors here. So if the factors equals to 2, then I need to print that I. Yeah, when you use for loop, it will give you. Let's see. I in range of 1 to 10. How many of you got the result for this? For prime number. So can you post your responses in the chat box? Who are got the output by using while loop, not for loop. Okay, that's fine. You can post your responses by for also. That's not a problem.
మేడం ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ అనేది హలో మేడం ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ అనేది
చెప్పండి
యూజ్ అంటే ప్రీ డిఫైన్డ్ కాదు కదండి మేడం.
ప్రీడిఫైన్ కాదు, నేను డిఫైన్ చేశాను ఫ్యాక్టర్స్.
మరి ఇక్కడ i% 2 = 0 దగ్గర ప్లస్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ ప్లస్ చేస్తే ఎట్లా వస్తాయి మేడం?
సో ఒక నెంబర్ అనేది డివిజిబుల్ అయిపోతే అది ఫ్యాక్టరే కదా. డివిజిబుల్ అయిపోయి 0 వచ్చింది అంటే అది ఫ్యాక్టరే కదా నెంబర్ కి.
ప్రోగ్రామ్ లో వాటికి తెలియదు కదా మేడం.
ఎందుకు తెలియదు? అందుకే నేను అజ్యూమ్ చేస్తున్నాను ఒక నెంబర్ అనేది డివిజిబుల్ బై 2 అయి రిమైండర్ వచ్చేస్తే ఆ నెంబరు ఫ్యాక్టరే. సో అది అలా అయినప్పుడు ఆటోమేటిక్ గా నేను ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ కౌంట్ ని ఇంక్రిమెంట్ చేస్తున్నాను. సో ఒక నెంబర్ కి 2 ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ ఏ ఉంటే అది ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ప్రైమ్ నెంబర్ అవుతుంది. నేను ఇలా డిఫైన్ చేశాను.
ఓకే ఓకే.
Two loops less than 0, 0 equals to 0. So when you use while loop, it will not give me as a correct problem. You see, let's take a random number. Let's see. So let's check the prime number for single number by taking a dynamical input. Taking the dynamical input for I in range of 1 to up to the number. So we need to increment the loop from 1 to up to the number so that the number should be divisible by 1 to up to the number. So I need to iterate the loop from 1 to up to the number, and I'm going to find out if number should be divisible by I. This is the logic here. But when it comes to while loop, so when I have a number divisible by that particular number, I'm going to take for the factors, I'm taking f is a variable, f plus equals to 1, and if f equals to 2, then print that number, factors number. So I can print this file. So it will ask me that 10. So I'm going to pass the number is 10. So it will give you the number factors from 1 to 10. But here also I'm getting 4. But 4 is a not prime number, right? I'm getting also. comma number, and then number percentile value. Sai Krishna got the output. Let's see. I'm trying to get the output. I equals to 1. Initially, we are taking I value as 1, and then count equals to 0. X equals to I, j equals to 1. Why you are taking so much of variables? While j less than x. If x percent by j equals to 0, c equals to, you need to increment the count. J equals to 0 equals to very matter.
Ma'am,
Give
the
me a
if should
minute.
be while, ma'am. The second if should be under while.
If I play, this is a capital C. When I run this, it will enter to infinite loop. It's not showing anything.
Ma'am, J should be come under if, ma'am. J equal to J plus 1 should come under first if, ma'am. Ma'am,
J should be comes under.
first if, ma'am. Now try, ma'am.
And now also it's entered into the infinite loop.
No, ma'am, I'm getting, ma'am. Once reset.
Okay,
Try.
wait, I will sort it out. We want to run. I'm just taking a dynamic output. If I got the output, I will explain, no problem. If A percentile equals to 0, then I need to increment the factors. Equals to 2. This should be in the formula.
Ma'am, we have to take 2 for loops, ma'am.
So if you start the loop from 2 to number, then you need to take 2 for loops. But I am just starting the loop from for 1, so I don't need to take it. It's not a prime. See, we can develop this prime number logic by two formats. If I pass 2, I'm getting 2 as a prime. And if I pass 10, I'm getting not a prime. So now the logic is working fine. So yeah, you need to take a dynamical inputs. Then only it will gives you the correct result. So here I'm just taking a number which is from, so but when I want to generate from 1 to 10, I use range of 1 to 10. You need to take it 2 loops. G. Yeah, I got so many responses from you. Thank you for the responses. See, what is the problem here? Should be divisible. Okay, how many of you got the output from prime numbers without so I was thinking some other logic, but for it I said okay. The 4 is not a prime number, but I got the expected. Okay, if you got the output, that's okay. But I was thinking some other logic, like factors equals to 2. I need to find if the factors count is 2. Then I was thinking it is a prime number. So you can use some other logics, like you need to start the loop from 2 to number itself. So then you can use some other logic to develop that prime number. So I will come to you about this prime number topic again, because I might also got confused. But when I use this logic, like the factors count is equals to 2, the 4 also getting. I will explain this generating numbers 1 to 10, prime numbers 1 to 10 by using y. Okay, next we will continue. Who got the output? That's great. But I will continue the next topic. Like next take while with, let's see how the while will work for along with the continue statement and along with the break statement. So while with, so here I'm passing condition like, so while, so let's initialize one variable I equals to 0, I less than or equal to 10, if I equals to if I equals to print I plus equals to 1, and whenever I have a I value as 3, I need to stop my loop, so I can use break statement here. Let's run it.
Double equal to, ma'am.
I need to use double equal to compile it. See, you will get the 0, 1, 2 as outputs, and whenever the I value become 3, it will stop the loop because we are using break statement. And again, you can see the continue also along with while. I'm using same block of code only for that. So whenever I have a I value as 3, I need to continue my loop. And I'm printing this I after the continue. Okay, so now you can observe this I, the value of 3 should be eliminated from the result because we are continuing. We are skipping the 3 result from the output with the use of continue. You can use the logic like this, or else you can use some other conditions also to develop this while loop. Okay, and if you want to get the result in a single line, you can use end equals to /t to separate with tab space. And we can implement this while loop with else condition also. Let's see how it is. So whenever you use else along with while, it will execute the else block after the while execution. Okay, so let's see, when I have a I equals to, and just remove this content, continue, else print while is executed and comes to else block. You can make any kind of statement. How it going to be executed means it's execute the while block, after it will check with the some other conditions. So we have passed some other condition by passing else, so it will execute the else block also after successfully completing the while block. Let's see, it will execute while block first of all. So 1 to 11 is executed with the help of while block, and after that it will execute the next condition. So that is we are passing with the help of else part. So it will execute with the help of else like this. Are you clear up to this? All of you respond me. We're already seeing this if break and else continue in the for loop also. Did everyone completed up to this? Next we will see the next concept. Okay, let's make some other problem in while also. I equals to 1 while I less than or equal to 50. Equals to 1 tenth to the power of, so it will reach the to the power of two values. So here I'm passing 1 instead of y. That's why it will enter with the infinite loop. Infinite loop. Okay, to restart the kernel, it is a I not 1. Now you will get the values to the power of exponent values of that I value. So for the first iteration, I value becomes 1 and it will increment by 2. So I am incrementing before printing. That's why the I value should be 2. And it will give you that to the power of 2 values. Next, we will see the functions in Python. So let's make a heading as functions. So you might already seen these functions concepts in C language, right? So what is the use of function and why you can use the functions? Where we can use these functions? Respond me in the chat box, all of you. Yes. So if you want to repeat the block of code continuously, you can use this function so that we can reduce the code complexity, and you can use it as many times as you want. And what is the keyword to define or to execute a particular block of code to increase the readability as to use to reusability? So all these are correct answers. So let's make it how to define these functions inside the Python. So here the function is a block of reusable code. We can use it wherever you want. And what are the advantages of functions means you can reduce the duplication of code, and also you can reduce the complex problems into a simpler manner, and you can reuse this code at any times. And with the help of these functions you can improve the clarity of the coding, and it is very easy to handle. So when you define the coding with respect to functions, you can easily handle it. And basically we have two types of functions in Python. Now you can make it the definitions or the comments. Function is a block of code block of reusable code block of reusable code that is used to perform a specific task. And the advantages of functions are, these are very important in Python. Advantages. Convert this cell item output. The advantages. The first advantage is reduce the duplication of code. Decomposing complex problems into similar. That means with the help of functions, we can simply reduce complex problems into simple problems. That means we are going to reduce the lines of code. So complex code into simpler manner. And then we can reuse this code. This is also one of the major advantages. Reuse. Next one is improving the clarity of and it is very easy to handle. And basically we have two types of functions. We have basically two types of functions. The first one is built-in functions. And user-defined function. So built-in functions means the Python already have inbuilt functions. Examples like print, type, min, max. All these are inbuilt functions. And the user-defined functions means these functions that can be defined by users. For defining functions, we can use one keyword. Or else syntax. We can call it as syntax. For defining, the syntax is def and then function name def and then function name. Ending you can mention the colon, and inside this you can mention any kind of statements whatever you want. Statement 1, statement 2, up to whatever the lines you have. And you should call this function by the function name, and you can use the return statement also for return anything inside the function out of the function. So that should be where the def, inside the def only, outside the def you can mention return. So this is the syntax of function. You can convert this into a coding format. The syntax only, up to the syntax only we can mention it as a coding negation symbol. Okay, this is a syntax that can followed by function. So the keyword to define the function is def, and then you can mention the function name and ending with colon, and inside this you can mention the block of statements, and finally you can return outside the function.
Hey.
Okay. Okay. So did all of you completed to note down these points? Respond me in the chat box. Okay, wait, I will wait. Scrolling. Now is it completed? Note down. Okay, good. Okay, let's see the inbuilt functions in Python. So we have already some of the inbuilt functions in Python. So with that only this entire block of code, what you type in shells is executed. So like print, type, min, max, these are all inbuilt functions. So we are not defining that functions. So it automatically called when you use print or type or min or max. So now let's see what are the inbuilt functions we have. So for that you need to import the built-in function library, so that we can see what are the inbuilt inbuilt functions we have. So let's see, import that one. Import built-in, import buildings. import built-ins and run this cell. Now if you want to know the inbuilt methods inside this built-in library, you can use dir. dir is a keyword. It will describe the that particular library or method. So if I pass dir of built-ins, it will gives me the inbuilt methods inside this built-ins. So it will give you the inbuilt functions inside these built-ins. Let's see. These are all the inbuilt methods we have inside the built-ins. So first one is arithmetic error. Whenever you do some kind of arithmetic errors, it will automatically raises an error like arithmetic error. So where does it happen means there is an inbuilt method that can solve out these arithmetic errors. So that we will raise that kind of functions when you have errors. So these are all inbuilt methods we have. So you can observe type, key error, stop iteration, syntax error, warning, bool, bytes, Excel filter format, len, set, round, power, zip, tuple. These are all the inbuilt methods we have inside the Python. If you want to hide this output bar, just double click on the output so that the output should be hidden. So I cannot count it up to now. If you want to count it, just give, let's see, length of buildings. Let's see, I'm not sure it is working. If you want to count it, you can use. See, it's not, this library doesn't have the length, that's why we are not getting it. Okay. So like this, you can observe the built-in methods or built-in functions. The functions can also called as a methods. Okay, keep in your mind, functions can also called as a methods. These are all the built-in functions or built-in methods we have in Python. So if you want to define a user-defined functions, that means you can define your own functions to describe applications. Let's see how to define a functions. So user-defined functions. So we're already seen the syntax to define a function. What is the syntax that can follow to create a function? Guys, can you hear me?
Def function name.
Yes, therefore to that function. Before that, let's see the inbuilt functions. So like if I want to find out the minimum characters or some of the variables, I can use sum method. This is the inbuilt method we have. So you can pass sum of 1, 2, 3. It will give you sum takes at most 2 arguments, 3 were given. So we can pass 2 only for summing. The object is not available. So if I pass by passing the variables a equals to 1, b equals to 2, sum of a comma b. Now it will get. So you need to pass double square brackets inside the sum method, double parenthesis, because the syntax that might have like, if you want to know the syntax, you just pass help of sum, that will gives you. So sum takes only iterables. So defaultly these integers cannot be iterable. When you want to find out the sum for the integers, you can pass that iterable with the help of double parenthesis. Then only it will not raise an error. Otherwise, it will raise integers. Integers cannot act like a iterable, right? So if you want to find out the sum for integers also, you can mention double parenthesis, and you can pass 3 also. Let's see. So here I'm passing c equals to synthetic. This is a one kind of inbuilt method, but we don't define any kind of operations in between. How it going to be happen? How it going to be adding the numbers means background there is a code for this sum method. there is a they already developed a code for this sum method to do the addition of the numbers. So if you want to observe that inbuilt inbuilt function programming, you need to install the IDE inside the packages. We can able to find out these all methods. Okay.
Ma'am, functions
Yes,
లో
Lokesh.
కాల్ బై రెఫరెన్స్ అవంతా ఉంటాయి కదా మ్యామ్, అవి లేదా మ్యామ్ పైథాన్లో?
Yeah, we will come to you when it's user defined functions, call the reference, all those things. Up to now, I'm just explaining the inbuilt methods inside the Python. Okay. So next we will see the next method, the inbuilt method. We have already seen print, right? So if I pass min of 1, 2, 3, so it will gives you the minimum among the data, minimum among the data. So if I pass max of 3, 40, 5, it will gives you the maximum number. These are all the inbuilt methods. And also we have a sort method. Sort will work out or not? Let's see. So sort will not work. Sort will explain you when the list comes. Okay, we are not discussing the list. So next, if I want to convert any kind of number into binary, I can use bin. So it will gives you the binary representation of that particular number. So the binary representation of 12 is 1100. Before that, it will show you the type of the data. It is a binary representation. That's why it will gives you 0B. And if I want to know the octal representation of the number, you can use hexagonal representation also, like hex of data. So and also you can find octal representation. For that you can use oct of. You can mention the number. It will gives you the octal representation of that given number. And hex also, hexadecimal format. So if I pass 8, it will gives you the hexadecimal number for that 8. And you can find out the power also. These are all the inbuilt methods, built-in functions. We can directly use it instead of developing the code. We can directly use these inbuilt methods, like 5, 4. If I pass 5, 4, it will gives you 5 to the power of 4 value. And if you want to find out the ASCII value of any kind of character, you can use ORD. So this is the important method. Whenever you want to find out the ASCII value of any character, you can use ORD of that particular character. If I pass A, it will gives me the ASCII value for that A is 97. If I pass capital A, it will gives you the ASCII value of capital A. Again, if you want to convert that number into a character with respect to ASCII value, if you want to convert that ASCII value into character, you can convert it like character from ASCII value. ASCII value to character to ASCII value. So if you want to get the character from ASCII value, we can use CHR. CHR equals to, inside this you can mention the number. If I pass 65, it will gives you the 65 ASCII value. So the character representation for the 65 is capital A. Like this, you can use the inbuilt methods. And we have one most important, that is ABS. It will give you the absolute value of that given number. The absolute value means it will not taken that negative value. It will generate the positive number. It will give you the absolute number. Yes, we will see all these. These are all inbuilt methods. Now let's see how to define a user-defined function. User-defined functions. So that means the user can going to be define that functions, going to develop that functions. So for that you need to follow the syntax. So like def is a keyword to define a function, and then you can mention the function name. So I am mentioning the function name as fun or function. Okay. And after the function you need to make a parenthesis. So I forgot to mention it in the definition, I think. Yeah. Here itself, after the function name, don't forget to mention a parenthesis. With that help of parenthesis only, we can place the values or variables. Okay, parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis, I am not mentioning anything, and after that, there is a colon at the ending. There is a ending. After that, you can mention any kind of statements in the inside this block, function block. Here I am passing some random print statements inside the function. Print hello or happy. Now, so this is like this. You can define your function. The def is a keyword, and then the function name is your wish. And don't forget to pass the parenthesis after the function. With respect to that parenthesis only, we can initialize the
Can't
variables.
show the syntax, ma'am.
I'm just changing this parenthesis after the function name. Okay, def is a keyword to define a function, and then function name, and after that parenthesis. And inside this, you can mention a block of statements, and finally, the function should be ends with return. Or else you can define a function without return statement also. That's up to you. I'm adding this parenthesis extra to the syntax because it is mandatory. So try to change that. Try to add this parenthesis after the function name in your syntax. And now let's see how this user-defined functions will be created. So here I'm just creating a function name with the name of function. Okay, and then I'm passing a parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis I don't have to mention any kind of variables. That's why it is a empty parenthesis, and inside the function I'm passing a block of code like printing hello APSysTs. And then finally, so when I run this function, what was the output I'm getting? If I run this function, can I get the output? No output. We are not getting anything. Why? I'm writing correct syntax, but it didn't get any. When you run this program, you didn't get any kind of errors also. But why you are not getting any output? Like we need to get this hello as output and also this as output. But why we are not getting the output means this function should be defined only. We are not call this function at any way. So whenever you call the function only, we'll get the output. So don't forget to call the function after defining the function. Now I'm going to call this function inside the function only. So the function name, whatever the function name you have defined, with that name only you can call it. So this is the function name. I'm going to run this. Now you can able to observe the output with respect to that function definition. So this can be called as a function calling. In your C language, the function can be defined like function definition, function declaration, and then function calling, right? So, but in the Python, we have only function definition and function calling. We can declare the variables inside the function definition only with parentheses. Are you clear, guys, how to define a function and how to call a function? And it is not mandatory to call a function inside the function only, inside a same cell only. That's not mandatory. You can call the function at any way. That is the main advantage of function. You can call the function at any time, at any way. Okay, now try to create a function to do arithmetic operations. So for that, I'm taking the function name as calculations. So for doing arithmetic operators, we need to take two operands, right? With respect to in between the values only, we're going to do some kind of arithmetic operations, either subtraction or multiplication, addition, all those things. For that, I need to take a variables. So here, how can you take the variables means inside the parenthesis, you can define your variables. So for defining variables, we have to follow some kind of syntaxes. The variables may be keyword arguments, default arguments, positional arguments. So up to now, we are directly use it. So for doing arithmetic operations, we need to take a two values. So those values here I'm taking with respect to two variables. Those are a comma b. So I'm going to define that a comma b inside the parenthesis, and then make a colon ending. Now you can mention your. I'm just using return a plus b, and again return a minus b. Return. I'm using return statement here. Can function take so many return statements or single statement? Let's see. A modulus b. And finally, I'm going to call this function in the next cell. You can pass a comma b values. Instead of a b, you can pass the a comma b values here. While calling, you need to pass a comma b values. I'm passing a value as 5 and b value as 3. Now you can observe we are getting the result, but we are not come to a conclusion is that a plus b or a minus b or a into b. When you run this function, it will returns the first return statement only. You can observe it. So it will gives you the a plus b result only. It will returns the a plus b value. 5 plus 3 is 8. It will not returns these return statements. You can understand, right? So that means you can understand one thing, that is the function can take only single return statement. The function can accept only single return statement. So sometimes we need to print one or more data. So in that cases, you can simply use print statement. Function returns only single, function takes return only return single statement. So for that, I'm just using print. Instead of return, I'm taking print because it will take only single return statement while execution. If you want to execute all those things, you can use print statement. And finally, I'm using return. A modulus b. You can use parentheses or not. That's not it.
Ma'am,
Now
what
you
is the
can call
purpose
this
of
function
return?
again. Now you can observe these all three can be printed with the print statement, and this return with respect to this return statement, that is the final output, like 2. It will gives you the reminder that return will be written like 2. Yes, somebody
Ma'am, what
asked
is the use of return, ma'am?
what?
What is the use of a return, ma'am?
Return means sometimes it will take, they want to return something. Instead of printing, they need to return something. So if you have only one thing to return, you can use simply return statement with respect to Hello? Students, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Okay, somebody asked me a doubt, what is the difference between print and return? So when you use return, it will return only single value. But sometimes we need to print some more data as a result. In that case, you can use print. By the print, you can, with the use of print, you can print anything at any times. But using the return means it will return only single statement. That is the difference. Okay. Next,
అర్థం
see
కాలేదు.
defining the function. అర్థం కాలేదు. సో ఈ రిటర్న్ స్టేట్మెంట్ అనేది ఎక్కడ అంటే మీకు ఎప్పుడైతే ఒక అవుట్పుట్ ని మీరు కొన్ని సార్లు లెట్స్ టేక్ వన్ ప్రాబ్లమ్ స్టేట్మెంట్ ఇన్ దట్ మనకు అవుట్పుట్ లో ఒక రిజల్ట్ ని రిటర్న్ చేయమని చెప్పారు, ఒకటే ఉంది అవుట్పుట్. సో అప్పుడు మీరు సింపుల్ గా ఫంక్షన్ డిఫైన్ చేసి దానికి రిటర్న్ ఇచ్చేస్తే అది రిటర్న్ అయిపోతుంది ఆ ఒక్క రిజల్ట్. బట్ కొన్నిసార్లు ఒక అవుట్పుట్ తో పాటు టూ త్రీ అవుట్పుట్స్ ఉన్నాయి, వాటిని కూడా మీరు రిటర్న్ చేయాలి. అప్పుడు మీరు రిటర్న్ స్టేట్మెంట్ యూజ్ చేస్తే రిటర్న్ చేయదు, బికాస్ రిటర్న్ రిటర్న్స్ ఓన్లీ వన్ అవుట్పుట్. సో మనకు ఒకటి కంటే ఎక్కువ అవుట్పుట్స్ ఉన్నప్పుడు ప్రింట్ యూజ్ చేసుకుంటాము, ఓన్లీ ఒకటి ఉన్నప్పుడు సింపుల్ గా రిటర్న్ చేసుకుంటాము విత్ ద రిటర్న్ స్టేట్మెంట్. దట్ ఈస్ ద మేజర్ డిఫరెన్స్. ప్రింట్ అంటే ఒకటి కంటే ఎక్కువ అవుట్పుట్స్ మనకు అవుట్పుట్ లో ఉంటే, రిజల్ట్ లో ఉంటే అప్పుడు ప్రింట్ యూజ్ చేస్తారు. ఓన్లీ ఒక అవుట్పుటే ఉంది అవుట్పుట్ లో అంటే యూ క్యాన్ యూజ్ సింప్లీ రిటర్న్. Okay, let's see how to define a function to find out the number is a even or odd. So you are already aware about this. For that I'm just going a little bit faster. So for that I'm defining a function like is even. Is underscore even is my function name, and inside this it will take one dynamical input. So at every time it will ask me to the dynamical input, int of input. So
And once show the arithmetic operations, ma'am.
print రాస్తానండి అన్నిటికి and then return. So if n percentile 2 is equal to 2, here I'm using return true. Return false. It acts like inside the if block means it will execute as a true. Outside the if block means it acts like a else block. With the help of return, you can use it like this. When it is true means it is a even number. When it is false means it is a odd number. Or else you can make another also like odd. You can replace it like even also. Now let's call this function. So is underscore even. Inside this you need to mention your input. So we are already initializing this input inside the function. So no need to define in the parenthesis. So when you call this function, it will ask you to enter the input with the variable of n. So I am just reviewing this n while function definition. Now let's run. It will ask me to the user and enter the input. If I pass 4, it will return even because 4 is a even number. And if I pass 3, it will return as odd, because this outside return means outside if block we are return one thing. So with the help of return of odd, it will simply act as a else block. So it is outside the if block, so it is acts like a else block. So you can use this return statement like this also. Okay, now let's see generating a even numbers in a given range. So for that I am just taking a dynamical inputs directly to the function. So def of, so we need to take a range. from lower range to upper range. For that I'm defining it df even underscore range is my function name. Here I can mention lv comma ub plus 1. I need to include this upper bound value also, so I can use plus 1. Here I can develop the logic like if what I need to pass here. So how can the number should be comes under with variable. So here we are repeating the loop from lower bound to upper bound. We can pass this lower bound and upper bound values dynamically while calling the function. So I need to find out the number should be divisible by 2. So that number should be came with respect to which variable here. Yes, the number should be comes with respect to LB variable. So you can divisible by 2 is equals to 0. It is divisible. Return. So I am using print here. Print. I need to print the entire even number, so I can use even comma LB. I don't need to mention else block because I want to get only even numbers. So I can develop the logic for even numbers only. And finally, I'm going to call this function. You can directly pass the LB, IB values directly manually here, like 1 and 10. So it will generate the even numbers from 1 to 10. So yeah, when you pass UB plus 1, it will not understand. So try to take dynamical data. You can mention here UB plus 1 like this. So, okay. We need to take a loop, right, to implement that for I in range of LB plus UB plus 1. Here we need to take a loop. And inside this, we need to mention this entire block of even numbers logic. It is a LB. So it is a L, not 1. So here the variable should comes with the respect of I. A percentile 2 is equals to even 1.
Even comma I ma'am will be called.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just replacing. I forgot to replace the print statement. So here I need to print I, and then yeah, I can pass it 1 comma 10. Now you will get so I'm just removing this else block. All the even numbers from 1 to 10 range. Okay, let's see. function for prime number. So I will wind up after this. Don't mind. It will take 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. I will. After this, I will wind up the session. Function to check prime number. Def is prime is my function name. So here I can take one number, that is n. So I'm taking same logic. So for factors, I'm just initializing 0 count. You can develop your own logic because you are already know how to check the prime number. So you are already completed, right, to check the prime number. So you can write your own logic inside the function. So I'm writing my own logic for I in range of 1 to n plus 1 if I percentile I is n percentile I is equals to 0. I need to increment my count, factors equals to 1. Finally, I'm going to find if factors equals to 2. Right. Or else 2 negative. And finally, I'm calling this function is underscore prime int of input. So that means I need to take a dynamical input, so I can pass int of input is prime of int of input. So it's right. It will ask me to the input. If I pass 2, it shows that it is a prime. I'm again passing 3. It is also prime. If I pass 4, it is not prime. So now it's working fine. Again, if I pass 5, it is a prime. If I pass 6, it is not prime. If I pass 7, it is a prime. Yeah, now it's working fine. But yeah, now you can observe the prime number logic is executed for me here, right? Like initially I'm taking the factors count as 0 and I need to repeat my loop from 1 to up to the number. So I can use for I in range of 1 to up to my number inside n variable. So I need to include that number also so that I will get the factors. So I am using n plus 1 and I'm going to find out the number should be divisible by 1 to up to the number. So here the number is upside and in the denominator I can mention I. So for first time the I value is 1 and second time the I value is 2. So like this every time our number is divisible by 1 to up to the given number, and if it is divisible means it is a factor. So I'm going to increment my factors count with 1. Okay, I'm going to increment my factors count with 1, and whenever I found the factors count as true or 2, then I will return it is a prime number. Then I will return it is a prime number. And if it is not equal to 2 means I am simply return with the help of else block like as a return outside the if. So return not a prime. Can you understand this, all of you? So initially I'm taking so prime number means the number should have only 2 factors. So for that with respect to that logic only I've developed one variable. Initially that variable factors count is 0. And I'm going to repeat the loop from 1 to up to the number, and I'm going to find out is the number should be divisible by 1 to up to the number. So like if n up to the given number, 1 to the given number, that is comes under with the help of y. If it is divisible means it is a factor. So that's why inside the loop, inside the if block, I'm incrementing my factors count. So whenever I found that my factors count is equals to 2, it is a prime. So so it is outside the for loop. It is outside the for loop. So you can understand whenever I start the loop, then only I will start. I'm checking that factors count is equals to 2 or not. So when it is true, I am going to tell you that it is a prime number. If it is not, it is not a prime number. So I am mentioning this outside the if block, like outside return. Guys, can you understand? Because it is very important, prime number logic. What I missed in the previous code? See, for prime number logic, we have so many logics. You can use any one thing. Keep your so try to keep one logic in your mind. Like with respect to factors counts also you can find out, or else you can start the loop from 2 to up to the number also you can use it, that logic also. Okay, now it is easy to find out the number prime numbers between the given ranges, right, with the help of functions. Let's make a task here. Generate a prime numbers between the given range. That means you need to take ranges dynamically take the ranges and LB is, so you are already aware about that, both are included. Both ranges are included. Both included ranges. Both are included, and you need to print the prime numbers. Finally, generate the prime numbers between the given range. That given range should be taken dynamically, and both ranges are included. That means LB and UB are included. This is the task to you. Try to do that, or else I will update the task solution in Telegram. Okay, and we have some other task also. So tomorrow you have Sunday, right? Try to solve these all problems. If you have any difficulties to do this, let me know in Telegram link. Okay, I will give you some other tasks also. Don't mind. The next task is generate a multiplication table for given number. Generate a multiplication table for given number. That means you need to take any dynamical input and you need to generate a table for multiplication table. Like 2 into 1 equals to 2, all those things, right? So if you take the given number as 2, you need to generate a multiplication table for 2 from 1 to 10. Multiplication table for a given number from 1 to 10 only. Can you understand this problem? That means you need to generate, let's take the number is 1. I'm just explaining with help of one example. If n equals to 2 means the given number is 2 means you need to generate like this. 2 into 1 equals to 2. 2 into 2 equals to 4. Like this. You can generate up to 2 into 10 equals to 20. This is the one problem you have. Try to do that. What else I have to tell you? Yeah. And next, function based problems. Write a program, write a function to check the given number is divisible by 6 and 8, but not with 4, but not with 5. Okay, that means you need to check the given number should be divisible by 6 and 8, but not with 5. Okay, that is the problem you have. And write a function to check the given year is leap year or not. Leap year or not. So for this, I will explain the logic. So how can you tell that a year is a leap year? Means the year should be divisible by 4, but not with the 100, and also divisible by 400. Okay, year should be divisible by 4 and not divisible by 100, or year and also divisible year divisible by 400. Divisible by 400. This is the logic to check the given year is a leap year or not. Okay, so try to solve it. If you have any doubts, try to raise your doubts in Telegram. Okay, I will see your queries and I will respond you through the Telegram. Okay, that's it. I have to tell you, and don't forget these all problems. These two problems should be like a functional programming. You need to create a function to do this only. Okay, that's it about the today's session. Thank you one and all. And if you have any problem to do all these problems, please come to in Telegram and I will explain at any cost of time. Thank you all.